Okay, hi there, thanks for tuning in to this video. So this one's all about mapping the TR-8 using Modstep. So at the moment I've got just a completely fresh track in here. So I've got to just set my Midi first. So I'm going to go to the UM1, which is my Midi interface, and then channel 10. So we should now be communicating with the TR-8. So if we go onto this button here, if you can see there, that one, okay, which is the second one in, it gets you to your track templates. So these all come preloaded in, okay. Now I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but to me this TR-8 one doesn't seem to be mapped properly. So, and again, I might be doing something completely wrong, but if I am, please tell me. So I'm going to grab the TR-8 template. I'm just going to drag it onto these pads. Okay, so when you first start playing, it doesn't do anything. I'm not entirely sure why. For some reason, you need to sort of come over to this view. It still doesn't do anything. You've got to change the octave here. If you change the octave down to C1, we then get sound. I don't know why you've got to do that. It's a bit weird and it's a bit annoying. If I go back now onto that one, okay, we have got the pads all playing on there. It seems to communicate better that way around. So down here, this one's saying, if you can see it, it says BD for bass drum. So that one's right. That second one says bass drum, but I've got a rim. That should be the rim. I've got the snare. That one should be snare. It says SD on it. Okay, and it's the hand clap. So they just kind of seem to be a little bit all over the place. I mean, I've double checked it with, if I go on to the pads here, okay, on my scales, I've got no scale on there, and it's the same thing, right? So they don't seem to match up. So what I've done is I've mapped my own, which, if I can remember where I've done it, so I did it on in the pads folder, okay, here. So this is the TR-8 mapped one. So if I drag that in, and I've renamed them actually, so we've now got kick, snare, low tom, middle tom. Basically I've done them in the order that they are on from left to right on the TR-8. Okay, so actually mapping them is really, really easy. What I've done actually, and I'll put this in the description, I've gone through the notes, whether it's C1, C0, whatever, for each part of the drum kit, because I think the Roland, the MIDI implementation chart just gives you the MIDI note numbers like 35, 36, and this doesn't have those, it does it the other way around. So if I just go back, so let's put the wrong one back in, and I'll just show you how I've done it. Where are we? 8. Okay, so again, doesn't work, so I've got to do this annoying thing every time. Go on to that, redo it on there, and then we get it. It's weird, I don't know why, but anyway, mine works. So so the bass drum is correct. Now the moment it says BD, so if you want to change it, all you do is click in the title box here, okay, and you can call it kick or whatever, and it's going to rename it. So renaming the pads is dead easy. So my next one along, which is a bass drum, I want to be the snare drum because that's the second one along on in the TR-8. So having gone through all my things, I know that the snare drum is on for the purposes of this, because we have an octave and a note. Okay. Now on one bit I read that the snare drum was on D of octave 1. For this, you need to kind of take everything down an octave. Okay, so your snare drum is on note D there. Okay, so you press your note for your D, choose D, and you need to be on here octave 0. That now gives me the snare drum, so I can then go in there, rename it. We've got the snare drum. Next one along should be the low tom. Okay, just do it. You can obviously do these in any sequence that you want. The low tom is on G and octave 0, so we go into there, we press G, octave 0, we've got the low tom, okay, and then you can rename it, you can go through the whole thing, and then all you would do is you would click save and decide where you want to save it, and that's basically all I've done to get that mapped onto there. Okay, so that's all the mapping done. Hopefully that makes sense. And as I say, I'll put all these note values to map them to in the description, so you can hopefully map them out like that. So what I thought I might do is use this just to go through the piano roll and the step sequencer. So you've got, that's kind of like our main page where all our tracks will be. So this one then is the piano roll. So here you can choose between musical notes or drums. Okay, so obviously for your drum machine you would want the drums. This bit down here you can pinch and sort of zoom in and out, which is not brilliant to work on, but it kind of does it. So what I would do is position that and get it as big as I can, just fitting everything on. So just go up a little bit, and that's, no, it's not got everything on. Let's go a little bit smaller. It seems to do the opposite way around to the way I want it to be, but anyway, yeah, you gotta go. Where's my flipping bass drum? Right there. Oh, God's sake! How difficult can it be to get those on the screen? Right, so clearly that's a bit of an issue. There we go. Right, I've still not got everything on. Right, I need to make it a little bit smaller. There's my kick, up to right. Right, okay, so I've got everything on the screen. God, that was hard work. So let's just kind of sequence a simple drum pattern, just using this as the piano roll. So we're going to just do it as just a 1 bar. So we can have, which is also great on this, up to 16 bars. Okay, so I'm just going to unactivate all of those. There is actually an easy, quicker way of doing that, I think. If you do it on, I can't remember at the moment. Now, if you do it on there, if you go on to pattern, you can choose how many you want on there. But I think that's, there we go. So we've got it down to 1 pattern. And I think that should kind of, yeah, if I choose 2 patterns and I go back to there, you can see they're both lit up blue now. Okay, just there. So that pattern kind of matrix is a quicker way of doing it. Right, so it's going to have 1 pattern for now. I'll show you 2 pattern 1 in a minute, because you can change the speeds and stuff on them, which is pretty cool. So let's just do a simple 4 to the floor kick drum. You're going to play down here, then we don't have to go back to the other browser and click on the thing. Sorry, let me just mute my TB3. So we've got a simple kick drum pattern playing. Let's just move the camera along there a little bit. Okay, we'll just stick a snare drum in. I'm going to go to the paint tool. The paint tool's already activated actually, so if I just make sure that's on, we're going to do, oops, okay, now you've got to be, if you, sorry, stop there, right, start. If you've got fat awkward fingers like me, right, you might need to zoom in a little bit more. Getting rid of notes is a little bit frustrating, I find, but one way of doing, you can do a single note, right? If you just click on it and tap like that, okay, he's going to get rid of it. You can do multiple notes. If you go to the edit, if you click on the waste paper basket and kind of drag over like that, and then that'll get rid of all that way as well. So yeah, in the painty mode, the paintbrush mode, you can just, obviously that's going to put them on, that's going to get rid of them. If you're not in the painty mode and you put a note in, if you tap on it, it won't get rid of it. You've got to hold, tap and hold, okay, to get rid of it. So just be aware of that. That's a slightly different way of editing it. Okay, let's just play that again. Sorry, I've just stopped it. Again, we've got, so it's a good time to talk about this. We've got global quantization, same as we have in Ableton Live, which you can set to 1 bar, half a bar, or whatever. I've got it set on 1 bar at the moment. So actually, let's put, I'm going to do it on that, because actually that's an easier way of doing it. We'll put some opens in there. Okay, so that's completely straight. We can obviously swing it, just sliding this dial along here. Okay, which is nice. And then, now if you just want to go crazy, just try stuff out. Just, I mean, as you see there, I just put my finger across there. I've actually got quite a nice pattern there, that's all right. Okay, like that, right. Okay, so that's using the piano roll to step sequence. If you've used any kind of DAW, you know, any DAW, Ableton Live, Logic, Pro Tools or whatever, obviously that's going to be pretty much straightforward to you. I have to say, the more I use this app, the more I love it. I think it's bloody brilliant. Right, so that's the first bar. If we go on to the second bar, okay, now this slider underneath will take us to there. Now there is a way of copying. Okay, so if you do that, I think if I just highlight everything, okay, that's going to copy everything. If I go to the second bar, I need to turn that on. And there should be, I don't know. No idea. You're supposed to be able to, that's supposed to copy I don't know if you can copy it or not, but anyway. I would be yeah, right, okay, that's something I need to have a look at, because if I want to make that a 2-bar thing and I want to copy all that into the next bit, there should be a way of doing it. At the moment I don't know how. I've only had this app a day, so you know, don't moan at me for not knowing that. What do you do? I just want to try that again. So I know that's the copy function. Right. Okay, the one thing, okay, I've just said I love this app, which I do, but can we have an undo button? Because there's no undo button as far as I know, which is absolutely crazy, I think. Because you do something like that and you can't quite remember what you've done and you just want to go back a step. And I can't remember what I've done. Right, I'm just going to have another go. I'm just going to see if I can just copy everything. No, I have no idea why I have to do that. Anyway, right, so let's just put in the second bar. I'm just going to just do anything for now. I'll try and work that out. I'm just going to just go crazy. Right, there we go. Right, so there's your first bar. And then there's my very awesome second bar. Now, obviously, at the moment, we've only got unfocused on the screen the second bar. If you press chase, it will catch up and then it will change. There's your first bar. Okay, and there's your second bar. Okay, so that's quite a cool way of going through. Scrolling through each one. Like I say, you can have 16-bar patterns, which again is brilliant. Obviously, if you're using something like Ableton, you can have as many bars as you want that will repeat. But if you think of, you know, the Volkers, you've only got 16 steps, so 1 bar basically of 16th notes. TR-8, obviously, you can have like 2 bars with your A and B. The Electribe, you've got 4 bars. Here, 16 bars. So, great. What you can also do is actually play different patterns at different speeds, which is genius, I think. I don't know whether you do ever want to use it, but it's quite a nice gimmick. Let's just shut the edit down. So let's say I want to play the second bar at half the speed of the first bar, right? So I choose speed and I press half, and then I just press up here which one I want to do, because if it says 1 times in there, it means it plays it at normal speed. If I click on there, it now says half times. So if I go back to the beginning, the first bar will play at normal speed, which is 125 beats per minute, and then the second bar will play at half that, which is whatever half of 125 is, 70 something or other. Have a listen. Okay. Which, again, I don't know whether you'd ever use that, but it's a nice feature to have if you do want it. You can play at quarter speed, half speed, normal speed, twice as fast, or 4 times as fast, which again, I guess if you're doing sort of like a half time sort of groove on a pattern, that would work pretty well actually, just going into that half time speed. So you've got mute, solo, arm is if you want to record and play stuff in live. Let's just go through that. So to record, you would need to press this A button down here. That's going to arm that track. I'm going to try and play it off the keyboard, and what I'll try and do is, let's get a third bar. Sorry, I've just done the speed thing. I don't want the speed. Hold on. Change that into there. Okay, so we're going to activate that third bar, and I'll try and record some stuff in the third bar. Hopefully it will work. Right, so I'm just going to hit record. And what you've got to make sure when you're recording is you've got to make sure your clip is playing. You've got to start that playing. Hold on. I'm just going to change that because I don't want that to be on half speed, because that's going to annoy me. Let's go back onto 1. Okay, right, here we go. Okay, so start the clip playing. Okay, we hit record up here, up at the top. And then we've got that blank bar, that third bar. Okay, so that should now recorded what in I just played. Yeah, now you can hear it's really quiet for some reason, and that's probably because of my velocities. So if I want to check my velocities in that third bar, move that across so you can see actually my velocities are all really low. I don't know why, it's just recorded them like that. So all I would do is you can select every. Oh no! Now you see, right? This is where you need an undo button, right? Because I've just been an idiot and I've just put all those notes in. I'm going to try and get rid of them. Okay, and right, got to make sure that's turned off. Right, so undo button. We need one. We need one. Right, velocity. Right, it's still drawing a note. Why is it drawing a note? Okay, go away. Alright, we're in edit. Do it with that. Right, that's going to select all my notes. And here we have our velocities. Okay, so I can just... I thought I'd be able to do them all in one go, actually, but you can't. So you don't need each note individually, like that. Okay, but if you want to select them all, just have the pen tool. At least they're all selected then. You can go up one at a time like that. Right, so let's play it now. There's my awesome drumming. Okay, we do have a quantize function. Okay, so that's now tidied it up. So all you do is activate quantize and then click apply and it will tidy up your crap drumming like mine. So I think for now that's pretty much it, just to talk about on the piano roll. There's not a lot else. The scales, which I'll cover on different things when I do it, when I look at kind of doing stuff with an instrument. We've then got this step sequencer, which works sort of pretty much the same. Right, so so down here we have our pattern matrix. So you can see we've got these three bars I've done. If I want to turn any of those off, adjust. Hold on, no. Right, okay, I've still got quantize on. You've got to make sure you come out of your menus before you do stuff. Right, so I can just... I thought you should just be able to click on those and deactivate it. For some reason, you can't. Let's do it off there. Right, why won't it let me do that? Controls. Yeah, I thought you could just deactivate those, but obviously not. You might be able to, I don't know. But I'm going to just get rid of them. Can we delete? Right, so I think if there's notes in, you probably can't deactivate it. So I've just pressed edit and just selected that bin. And then if I click on that, it's going to get rid of all of the notes in there. Okay, so if we move across, you can see they are no longer there. Yeah, I still want to get rid of those, but... Okay, not sure why. I had assumed that you would be able to just change the length of your patterns. Right, just going to pause the video and I'll work out why. Okay, I'm back. I have no idea why it wouldn't do that. I've had to just delete that pattern to be able to do that, because if you're back now, you can see we've got our pattern matrix here. So if I want like 16 bars, I just light them all up and it's working now. So again, some weird glitch. I don't know why. Right, we'll just do a quick one bar pattern. So we have our, again, we're in drum mode just here. Okay, and then we have our sort of step sequencer, which is a bit like kind of an old analog sort of step sequencer where you just basically turn buttons on and make sounds. So we've got the play button down here. I've got nothing in at the moment, so we're not hearing anything. And this line is each of our drums. So if we start with the kick drum, all I would do is just kind of activate that pad. And then it should play. Hang on, active steps. Hold on, just give me 1 second. Right, so I realised what I did. I was on pattern 13 down here was activated. So let me just turn all those on. Let's just get rid of that. Right, so we're going to just have, right, number 1. So you've got to make sure, you see there's a white box around pad 13. We need to make sure that that white box is around there. So that is our active pattern that we're looking at. So you can see that's now moving across. So when the pads look like this, they're turned off. So if I just turn them on, sorry, you've got to make sure active step's not off. Okay, they will turn blue and we'll get that playing. And this basically mirrors in the, if we go over to pattern 1, in here you can see that's now put those notes in on the piano roll. Okay, so obviously they work in conjunction with each other. So let's go up to snare drum. Let's get rid of the swing for this now. Obviously we've got, so along here we've got pitch, which is irrelevant basically for drums, and note length really, but we've got velocity. So if I want to like make those sound as a sort of a ghost note, okay, let's make those nice and loud on beat 2 and beat 4. Okay, so we go back to pitch. Is obviously, well, I say pitch is irrelevant, it's not. The pitch is kind of our different instruments. So let's light up all the closed hi-hats, so all the way along. Now for some reason we've got weird velocities going off here. I mean, what I would do with the hi-hats is, if you want to sound it, make it sound a little bit more human, just kind of do a random, because I'm actually a drummer, so obviously I know that every time you hit the drum it's not the same every time, so you can just do some random velocities just to give it a slightly human feel if that's what you want. Let's go back on pitch. So if we go over again to our piano roll, we can see they've now all appeared in there. So what we've got then is, obviously if we want to just miss a few out, we just turn them off, give it a bit more rhythm. Okay, so it's basically, it's the same as, if you think how you program the TR-8, you know, you light up your buttons along the bottom, same principle on this really. We then have our active steps. So this is similar to what you get if you've ever used any of the Volcas. These have active steps on here. So this is how many of these will kind of play. So if I deactivate those 4, you can see it jumps from there to there. So it's basically making the bar shorter. So if I wanted to have like 3 beats in a bar, I'll get rid of the end ones. Sorry. So it's now 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can get some quite nice sort of, you know, there's just 2 beats. You know, you can do kind of like little weird effects and stuff with it just by doing that. It's sometimes a little bit hard, let's just stop it a second, to see, because it's very subtle, the difference. So you've got to make sure active steps is on, and it's basically, if you've not got that darker blue line across the top, that means that step's going to get missed out. See, that one's going to jump over that one, okay? And then obviously, you know, when you're that way around, it's pretty easy to see. So that's the step sequencer. I'm not going to go, I mean, I'll go over this in more detail when we do it with one of the synths, because we get keys, which is kind of like Ableton push layout. We've obviously got the pads, so you can see which line it is. So if you actually want to, because this can get a little bit fiddly doing it off here, if you want to select which one you want to record, you know, you can do it off here, and obviously you could record that in as well by, you know, playing it. But it's easy to do it off those buttons. Chords obviously irrelevant. We'll look at that later, and scales is irrelevant for that. So we're getting nearly up to 25 minutes on this. I think I've covered pretty much everything I want to cover for linking this up to your TR-8 or indeed any other drum machine. It's going to work the same way. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to say now. So I think I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any questions or any comments, let me know, and please everybody contact Modstep and tell them that we love their app, but can we please have an undo button. Okay, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share my videos around, share my music around, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.